Let's get on to some of the other news overnight that's not so rosy. The Orioles are probably holding their breath here over the status of Grayson Rodriguez. His velo was down significantly in a spring game Wednesday against the Twins. He's dealing, it's said, with right tricep soreness. He's trying to distance himself from a problem here. This from Jake Rowe. Grayson Rodriguez reported right tricep soreness after his start yesterday. That was Wednesday. Manager Brandon Hyde said more info tomorrow, which would have been yesterday. Manager Brandon Hyde said Grayson Rodriguez is being evaluated today. Is there a level of concern? Quote, there's always concern. I'm concerned every day right now with everybody, unquote. And I would agree with that as a manager. That's what you say. Grayson, for his part, was trying to distance himself from any negative speculation by saying, I'm just building up. This is just spring training. However, and I'll ask you this question, aren't guys showing up more built up than in the past? And if there's a big velo dip like this, would you be concerned?
I would be concerned, and I've expressed this time and time again. I think guys throw way too much in the off season. If he was ramping up to get ready for the season to start, okay, great. But that's not what they do today. That's not Nolan Ryan saying, I didn't throw this winter. I'll build up and I'll be ready in 6 weeks. Yeah. Paul Molitor used to never take batting practice until he got to spring training because he knew he was going to take 1,000 swings in the spring. Right. You know, I couldn't do that. But today's generation of athletes, and particularly pitchers, they finish the year, they go to a pitching lab. I'm going to work on a new pitch. I'm going to throw. You're still throwing. You haven't rested. And that's been my whole thing is like, we're going to see more injuries continually until guys realize you have to take a break. Yeah. And I'm not saying he picked up a ball and kept throwing as soon as the season ended. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But that's the first thing that comes to mind for me when I see the list of injuries is guys are just throwing too much in the off season. Not in the spring.
Well, I mean, a lot of people would say that the Orioles' rotation was not as deep as it was last year without Corbin Burns. That's kind of obvious, but John Means is gone. Now, if you can't count on Grayson Rodriguez, who, by the way, had a couple of different injuries last year, which limited him to 20 starts. He had a shoulder and a lat. Kyle Bradish, not in the opening day plans yet. He's still coming off of a lost year. Wells, the same story. So they're not deep. And if you can't count on Grayson Rodriguez, it's not a good thing for the Orioles. So we hope for everybody's sake, for the player and for the team, that this is just kind of standard spring soreness and that he's going to be okay.
The sad part for the Orioles, and I said this about the Yankees the other day, is all of a sudden a lot of the pitching is being signed already. It's getting locked up. So you got to dig down into the farm system or whatever, because you can lose your division by the time their pitchers get back. It could be over. Mm-hmm. Said that about Hill the other day. Let's say it now with Rodriguez. If he disappears for 3 months, you better figure it out. Yeah. You might be out of it.
Well, you mentioned the Yankees, and they too have some interesting injury news. We take a look at who's still out there as far as starting pitching is concerned. There's some help out there.
Yeah.
Lance Lynn had a very good year last season. Kyle Gibson's a proven every 5 days starter. Same can be said of I think Jordan Lyles was a first rounder too, by the way.
Yeah, he was. Back in the
So there's some help out there for sure, and maybe the Orioles are kicking those tires. Here's the disconcerting news for the Yankees.
Oh man, this is terrible news.
Yep, potentially terrible news because Giancarlo Stanton's ailing elbows required a PRP injection, and here's Brian Cashman on the status of his prize slugger.
So ultimately, he was dealing with it in the end of last year, and obviously thought we were in a good place, and I think he was feeling like in a good place, but then it reared its ugly head, about 3 weeks before camp, and is my understanding, and so now we're dealing with it. So, give it the time it needs, and we'll clearly look forward to getting him back at some point, but obviously in the near term that won't be the case.
Surgery ever discussed in this? I think that's could be a 2 or 3 month recovery for that.
It'd be a last resort.
Well, you would not have had a sense for anything being wrong with Big Gio at the end of the season last year because he was spectacular in the postseason. We know about the injury history. It's been hamstring problems the last 2 years that have prevented him from playing in fewer than 115 games each season. He has been over 100 games in the last 4, and he's doing a pretty good job keeping himself together. The elbows, plural, elbows injuries are really mysterious, right? We don't know what to think of all this.
No, I really don't. I've never heard of that. You know, you hear about tennis elbow, or a pitcher's got an elbow, or you hurt your elbow throwing, whatever, but not both.
Yeah.
Just hadn't heard of that.
Especially for a position player.
Yeah. So maybe it is from swinging, the way he's swinging the bat, and he's been DHing, and he's not throwing, and I don't know. I can't even speculate.
Well, no, we can't. I just know that maybe, you know, the dude is in such incredible physical condition. There's not an ounce of body fat on that guy.
No.
So when you're checking in at like 23% body fat like I am, makes you feel like I'll be okay.
It'd be all right.
This is the Yankee potential projected starting lineup, and we did not include Gio or DJ LeMahieu, who's also unlikely for opening day because of the calf injury. And that's unfortunate because he was seen as a kind of protection policy at third base, at second base, at first place. He can play anywhere. This is still a pretty doggone good lineup, but the young guys are in focus now. And Ben Rice may not have been on the opening day plans to play every day before these 2 injuries, and now they're going to turn to one of their own homegrown guys.
I mean, you got to look at Jones. It's not just Ben Rice goes and is going to be that guy, but you got to look at everyone.
Right.
Because I'll say this repeatedly, and I'll say it all the time. Cody Bellinger gives you options. It's the best move they made all winter. If I have to insert somebody at first base and put somebody else DHing, Cody can do that.
Yeah.
If I need a center fielder, he can do that. You need to go to left, and we'll move Dominguez to center. Cody can play left.
Good move at the time that looks even better now.